Alright, today we're going to be looking at the top 5 worst Arcane characters in Injustice 2 Mobile. I will say there really isn't that many bad Arcane characters. Some are definitely better than others, and very few are super bad, but overall as a class, I think Arcane is pretty decent. With that being said, we're so close to 4,000 subs, boys, so if you're not subbed, make sure to subscribe right now so we can get there a little bit quicker. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a nice day, stay safe and stay clean, and let's start the video. Starting off our list, coming in at number 5 is going to be HELLBOY. HELLBOY is only really useful whenever you're going to fight an opponent that has hazards on the ground. And the reason why is because usually whenever you fight those battles, when you move the opponent all the way towards the right corner, the hazard that's going to be in the right corner is going to be doing dot damage. And HELLBOY is absolutely perfect for this because HELLBOY is going to be generating health whenever he gets targeted by dot damage. And so you're going to be able to build a combo and stay towards the right side of the map, cornering the opponent as comfortable as possible because you don't have to worry about HELLBOY dying. On top of that, whenever you fight in arena and one of the opponents has a lot of dot damage, it's going to be really easy to defeat them with HELLBOY because he's obviously going to be healing up. One really great example would be fighting Multiverse Armored Supergirl. She has a really strong special 1 that does dot damage, and if she uses it on HELLBOY, I guarantee you that no matter how much health your HELLBOY has, he's basically going to go up to 100% if Multiverse Armored Supergirl uses that special 1 against him. The one thing that is kind of lacking for HELLBOY is his special abilities. Only his special 3 does armor pierce, and his special 1 and his special 2 doesn't do anything. However, I will say that his special 3 does do a decent amount of damage. I have seen people try to build HELLBOY as a damage dealer, and even though he's not going to be breaking any records, he's still really fun to use, and he will be doing a decent amount of damage. Aside from that, the one thing that I really don't like about HELLBOY is that you can get his shards off the challenge game mode, and unfortunately getting shards off of this game mode is going to be really slow, but at the very least you can still get his gear off of raid drops. With that being said, let's move on to number 4, which is going to be Sub-Zero. The coolest thing about Sub-Zero is that his special 3 is going to be able to clone the enemy, and according to the level of your passive is going to depend on how much health and attack that clone is going to be doing. This can be really useful in arena because it can help you defeat really high threat opponents without having to do much and without having a really high threat team. But unfortunately, once you start getting better characters, there's really no point in using Sub-Zero because your better characters are going to be able to defeat any opponent in arena. On top of that, in raids and solo raids, Sub-Zero is not really going to be doing anything because you're not going to be using clones that have less attack than your regular characters, and also Sub-Zero doesn't do a lot of damage. Aside from his special 3, his special 2 has freeze, which is really fun to use, and his special 1 doesn't do anything. But unfortunately, like I said, none of these special abilities are going to be doing a lot of damage. But if you do want to get this character, because he is kind of fun in arena, you can get him off of the arena store, and sometimes he's going to pop up in the challenge game mode. And if you want to get his gears, it's going to be really easy because you can get it off the arena store and off of the challenge game mode, and he also drops off of raid drops. Overall, I do know that a lot of people like Sub-Zero, but let's be honest, aside from the cloning, there really isn't anything else that you could do with this character. Moving on to number 3 is going to be Soul Stealer Dr. Fate. Soul Stealer Dr. Fate definitely has an interesting passive. Whenever you use his super move, he's going to swap health with the opponent. However, obviously this is not going to work in raids, so this can only be used in arena, and unfortunately, because you can only use your super move once a match, you're only going to be able to do this once a match. However, I will say that I do like the idea of his passive, but I wish that for this character you can use his super move as many times as you want. I think that would definitely make this character far better. As a matter of fact, if you've never played Injustice 1 Mobile, there was a Raven character in Injustice 1 Mobile that did kind of the same thing as Soul Stealer Dr. Fate, but way better. Whenever her health was at a certain point, she would swap health with the opponent, and she could do it twice per match. So this Dr. Fate was kind of supposed to be a similar character, but they definitely made him far worse. I think they should either make it so that his super move can happen more than once, or they should just copy and paste Raven because she was perfect the way she was. Anyways, now moving on to his special abilities, his special 1 doesn't do anything, his special 2 heals him up, and his special 3, even though it doesn't do a lot of damage, I did see Jigsaw using this character as a damage dealer, and it was kind of impressive. It was definitely more damage than what I expected, but this character is definitely definitely not going to break any records. Aside from that, unfortunately, if you want to get this character, you're going to have to get it off the challenge game mode, and again, it's just way too slow to get shards, and you also have to wait for his challenge to actually pop up, so that's definitely not going to be really fun, but at the very least, you can still get his gear off of raid drops. One more thing that I will say about this character is that I really like the way that this Dr. Fate looks. Even if he's not maxed out, I still like the way that his gear set looks. I think that in Injustice 2, they did a really good job with all of the gears of Dr. Fate, because they all look pretty cool. As a matter of fact, even though I'm not going to be using this character that much, I kind of want to get him up to level 60 gears, just because I really like the way that he looks at level 60 gears. Anyways, with that being said, let's move on to number 2, which is going to be Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is a perfect example of a really good idea that wasn't executed very well. So if we go look at this character, his passive makes it so that after using one of your special abilities, his basic attack hits are going to be doing 100% more damage. And if we go look at his special abilities, all of them are going to have an effect. His special 1 adds lethal on his basic attack hits, his special 2 adds armor pierce on his basic attack hits, and his special 3 gives him defense. But the biggest problem with all of these effects on his special abilities is that they don't last for very long. The buffs are only going to be active for a few seconds, which is a really big bummer because this character is really fun to use when you have a lot of power and you could just keep using your special abilities and not have to worry about the buffs going away. But if you get into a really intense match with really strong opponents, you're not going to be able to just spam special abilities with Blue Beetle because you're going to have to tag in your tank, you're going to have to build up a combo, you're going to have to find strategies to defeat your opponent, which is going to mean that Blue Beetle is not always going to have his buffs active, and that's when this character is really hard to use. In addition, this creates another problem because whenever a character is added to the game and their buffs or their passives are supposed to be helping them doing more damage, to make the character a little bit more balanced, the developers are going to reduce the stats on the character. So for Blue Beetle, he doesn't have that much attack because supposedly the buffs that he has are supposed to be helping him do more damage, but because they don't, this character is just very weak. So if there was one thing that I would really love to change about this character, it's simply the amount of time that his buffs would last. You can have a little bit of fun using Blue Beetle whenever you fight really weak opponents, but aside from that, you're not really going to be doing much. However, if you do want to get this character, it's going to be fairly easy because you can get him off the challenge game mode and you can get him off of the arena store. And if you want to get his gear, you can get it off the arena store, off the challenge game mode, and off of raid drops. With that being said, let's move on to number 1, which is going to be FIRESTORM. So what FIRESTORM does is he adds 50% dot resistance for the entire team, which isn't all that bad because a lot of characters do a lot of dot damage. But the biggest problem with FIRESTORM is that there's 2 characters that are far better than him that pretty much do exactly what he does but way better. One of those characters is John Stewart Green Lantern. He has the exact same passive as FIRESTORM, but John Stewart Green Lantern has extra passives and his special abilities are way better. So FIRESTORM is basically just a downgrade. And the second character is going to be HELLBOY. HELLBOY doesn't give the entire team extra dot damage resistance, but HELLBOY does heal himself up whenever he takes dot damage. And even though that sounds like a completely different thing, it's really not, because whenever you get targeted by any damage, the only character's health that really matters is going to be your tank, because your tank is the one that actually has to survive, and HELLBOY is going to be a tank, so the fact that he's actually going to get healed up by the dot damage makes him way better than FIRESTORM. With your damage dealer, you just tag him in, use your special ability, and tag him out. That's it. With the tank, you actually have to worry about their health, and HELLBOY is not going to be dying from dot damage. In terms of FIRESTORM's special abilities, there's really nothing impressive going on. His special 1 and his special 2 don't do anything, but his special 3 does do hazard dot damage, but the hazard is very small, and FIRESTORM doesn't do a lot of damage, so this special 3 just sucks. The only good thing about FIRESTORM is that you can get this character very easily. You can get his shards off of operations for free, which is the best way to do it in my opinion, or you can get him off the arena store, which I don't think it's worth it because there's better characters to be getting off of the arena store. And if you want to get his gear, you can get it off of the arena store, and it also drops off of raid drops. I'm not entirely sure if you can get it off of operations, but you could still get it off of the arena store, which is the best way to do it because it's going to be guaranteed. One more thing that I will say about this character is that every single character in this list, you can use them and have a little bit of fun, but with Firestorm, I really don't recommend doing that. This character is not fun and he's not useful at all, which is why he's coming in at number 1. Anyways guys, with that being said, I hope you have a nice day, stay safe and stay clean, and I'll see you guys later.